Today's guest speaker is a shining example of a Kent State graduate whose life and career is an inspirational example of our mission to transform lives and communities through the power of discovery, learning, and creative expression in an inclusive environment. As a software business expert, MR Rangaswami has played a key role as an executive leading many of the companies that help fuel Silicon Valley's rise in the global epicenter for technology and innovation. As an entrepreneur and investor, he co-founded the Sand Hill Group in 1997 and continued to create opportunities as an investor for software companies, big and small. However, his success is not defined by his achievements in the boardroom alone, but by his determination to make his success in business a platform to change the world for the better. In 2007, Mr. Rangaswami founded the Corporate Eco Forum, a membership organization representing more than 20 industries with more than $3 trillion in revenues. And that company is committed to advancing more sustainable environmental practices and innovations in their business strategies. And in 2012, Mr. Rangaswami, who is from India, founded Indiaspora, a nonprofit to unite the India diaspora in the United States and beyond, and leverage their successes into meaningful change in India and on the global stage. And as a Kent State alumnus who graduated in 1978, he not only represents the legacy of our global focus on diversity and inclusion, but recognizes the role of higher education in empowering an individual to do great things, and is doing his part to ensure that others have access to the same opportunity. I hope you will join me in a warm welcome home to our honored alumnus and industry leader, Madhavan M.R. Rangaswami.
So much.
We're so glad you're here.
Wow. That was quite an introduction, President Warren. Thank you so much. You know, Shakespeare once said, "What's in a name?" In my case, it's just too many letters. It's 18 to be precise, and if you add my nickname of MR, it's 20. So way, way too many. But thank you, President Warren, for having me here. And also thanks to Dean Spake, who's kept in touch with me over the years at the College of Business. It's fabulous to be back here with all of you. And first of all, I want to say good morning to all the graduates. My journey was an interesting one. I came here in 1976 with a one-way ticket from India and $8 in my pocket. Okay? I wish I'd heard the Macklemore song, Thrift Shop, right? $20 in my pocket. I only had $8. Okay? So just $8 and a ticket from India, because that's all they allowed us from those days. And there was a movie made about it, and it's called Around the World in $8. Don't go to YouTube right now, okay? But just check it out later. And we actually believed you could go around the world in $8, right? So I come here. My brother lives in the United States in upstate New York, and he guarantees my first quarter's tuition and boarding at Kent. So I take the bus from upstate New York to Kent with a couple of suitcases, overnight journey in those days. And when I arrive at Kent, only one of them is there. My second suitcase got stolen on the way to Kent, and it contained my pots and pans and spices that my sister-in-law had packed for me because I didn't have much money. I arrived here. My host family was a local school teacher couple, the Baldwins. And when I told them the story, they were devastated. They immediately replaced everything and more. And that's what showed me the warmth and hospitality of the Kent community. And that's why I keep coming back here every time I get the opportunity to do so. Okay, so I think this is an amazing community, and that's what you're all about here as well. So let me ask the graduates a very intriguing, thought-provoking question. What would you do if you had 30 extra years of life to live? Just think about that. Okay? Maybe I'll give you some ideas. The first one I would give to you is find and follow your passion. The few of us here in the room who are lucky enough, they've found their passion. In my case, I was not so lucky. I got my undergrad in India in accounting, didn't like it. Then I tried a stint at law. I hated that one too. And then I came to Kent to do my MBA, and I couldn't focus on any topic, so I became a generalist and got out in the real world with no passion at all. I ended up in a manufacturing company as my first job after my MBA, and that's where my life took a turn. I met a consultant who was training us, and I told him my background, and he looks at me and goes, you know, you should be in a place called Silicon Valley. Mind you, this was 1982. There was no internet, no LinkedIn, no Facebook. Just think of how do you find this mythical place called Silicon Valley in 1982? So I somehow went to the library and found out that what this place was all about, found out because today it's all about business. But in 1982, all the companies you know of today did exist, but were tiny, tiny. So I ended up and I found my passion. And that's the risk I took to get out from the East Coast. So I want you to open your minds and think that you can be anywhere in life. So when I went to Silicon Valley, the first company I worked at, the first year it doubled, the second year it doubled, the third year, Chapter 11, bust. Okay? So that's the kind of risk you have to be prepared for in life. But if you're single, you have no commitments, much easier to do. And then I tried my stint later on at a second company. Same thing. It doubled every year. 3 years later, it went broke. Again, under disappointment. But you learn from your failures and you learn from the risk you take. And I guess third time's the charm, and I made it. But that's the kind of risk you take when you have a passion for something. So my first piece of advice to you is find your passion and then follow it. Because you have, remember, I told you 3 extra years to live, right? So don't forget that. And I know a Michigan State grad, Kyle Hughes. I came out of the Philippines and he fell in love with the Silicon Valley and the Bay Area. And a few years ago, took the risk of coming out to Silicon Valley, finding his first job. And guess what? Didn't work out. Now he's on the next one. But that's what risk-taking and following your passion is all about. So I urge you, whatever you're doing, just be sure you really follow what you want to do, follow that North Star, and then take risks when you're young. Don't do it when you have a family and 4 kids. Okay? Second, you know, you're in a phase of your life where you're starting a new journey almost. You've graduated and now you got a job, or you want to go do your master's, or you want to pursue some other way of giving back. What I'd ask you to do is take stock of your network. You need to be with the right people. Family who love you, friends who take care of you, friends who are positive, and friends who also ask you the hard questions. Okay? So be with positive people who care about you and love you, and eliminate the people that are negative, that take you in a bad route. So run with the right crowd, okay? And then, let me ask the graduates, how many of you have a mentor? Raise your hand. Okay, I see very few hands go up. This is something I didn't know either when I got out of Kent State. I didn't have a mentor, but a mentor luckily found me. So one thing I urge you to do when you leave here is you all have to get a mentor very quickly in life. Like I said, a mentor found me in my first job in Silicon Valley. He helped me in the business. He helped me in my personal life. He kicked me in my behind when I needed it. I think I still have some things there to prove it. But, you know, you need a mentor who can really guide you. And because of my network and my getting a mentor, I'll tell you this. I've never had a resume after the first one I ever did when I graduated from Kent State. Every job, every opportunity I got since then was without a resume, because you had a great network of people who looked out for you and introduced you to the right people and got you the right opportunities. Never written a resume till I had to send one in for this ceremony here. So that's the second piece of advice, okay? Surround yourself with good people, get a mentor. And then the third thing I want to tell you is about giving. The classic model of giving, we've been told, is you work hard, you then accumulate wealth, and then you give back, okay? I would urge you that there's a new model of giving back. And in fact, one of my very wealthy friends said the biggest regret, he's about 70 years old, he said the biggest regret he's had is not giving back early. So I urge all of you to give back in any way you can and give back often. Maybe even give something to your alumni. I think President Warren would appreciate it. But give back not just money, but time. You know, that's even more precious. One of the things I've been doing for the past 22 years as an angel investor in Silicon Valley is to really talk to young first-time entrepreneurs. I meet with at least 2 every week. Okay, so over 22 years, I think I calculated, I've met at least 2,000 such people. And I give them at least an hour of my time to help and guide them through their process. Okay, that's my way of giving back. It's not money, but it's time. And in fact, that is more gratifying than writing a check. So I'd urge all of you to really give back in any way you can. And so you must be wondering, how do I have 30 extra years of life to live, right? It's true. If you look back 2 generations, your grandparents, the life expectancy they had was 60 to 70 years. The life expectancy of your generation, including my kids, I have 2 daughters who go to college, is expected to be 90 to 100 years. Just think of that as you leave Kent State. You've got probably at least 70 years to live, right? So you've got 30 years more than your grandparents, okay? So use it wisely, right? So make sure you find your passion, you follow your passion, make sure you take risk when you can, make sure you get a good network, make sure you have a mentor, and make sure you give back. So hopefully I've given you enough food for thought. I won't stay too long, but I had the good fortune recently of going back to India and visiting Gandhi's ashram. And as you know, Gandhi was this amazing figure, but going and seeing where he lived and how he got freedom for India without firing a shot is something commendable. He must have saved millions of lives by leading a nonviolent movement, and we can all learn from what he did. It was an inspiring and moving experience for me to be there at his ashram. And when I was leaving, there was a final little exhibit there. It had a beautiful picture of Gandhi, and one of his most profound and yet simple statements. It said, "My life is my message." Okay? So in your case now, I want you to savor the moments, savor this experience here, savor graduating, and also reflect on the good times you've had at Kent. You know, I remember Ray's Place, the Loft, a lot of places on Saturday nights. I don't remember what happened Sunday morning, but, you know, the good times were had, right? So think of all those good times, but when you leave, just remember, your life is your message. So take that with you. Congratulations, class of 2018.